Blog Talk Radio.
Context of white supremacy, Gus T Renegade in for another program to share constructive information on racism, white supremacy, what it is, and how it works. Thank you, everybody, for tuning into the broadcast. We want to go right to work today. Our guest, what to say, just a real blessing today. Have a legend in the house and his second visit to the program, Public Enemies, Minister of Information, Professor Griff. Are you with us, Professor Griff?
Yes, sir.
Outstanding. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your schedule. I know you got tons of stuff that you're working on. We're just appreciative to have you back with us one more time, sir.
Oh, give thanks.
Sure. I wanted to start a little unorthodox. Are you familiar with the white man? He publishes books on racism. His name is Tim Wise. Are you familiar with him?
Yeah, I know him personally.
Oh, okay. What's your opinion of Tim Wise?
Very brilliant. Very brilliant gentleman. And very, what is the gentleman's name that took up arms against white people?
John Brown?
John Brown. Very John Brownish in the literary sense. There's a lot of work that John Brown did that wasn't even told to us. The warnings, the correcting, some of the information that was put out there from a historical perspective. John Brown wasn't a dumb man. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so we have to understand not only what they feed us about John Brown, but the truth of what John Brown had put out there prior to taking up arms. I see Tim Wise in that kind of way, simply because he's a very, very learned, very studious gentleman, and he puts it in such a way where it's hard for white people to back away from it and deny it. You understand what I'm saying? Simply because it comes from someone that looks like them. The story that he tells about traveling and the privilege that he gets from just being white is mind-blowing. Just mind-blowing.
Wow. I'm not a fan of Tim Wise.
I'm not a fan of it either. I'm not cheerleading for him. I'm telling you the truth of the essence of what the man is putting out there, that white people can't deny it. Now, I'm not talking about your black man or anybody else, because we not the issue. Racism and white supremacy is the issue.
For sure.
If you follow what I'm saying, I don't have my cheerleader skirt on for Tim.
Sure.
You understand what I'm saying? But a room full of white people are not going to listen to you and me. You're not going to pay me $5,000 to $10,000 to come to the campus and tell white people what they need to know about racism and white supremacy. Now, are they?
I don't think so.
Thank you. So the work that he's doing is probably a little bit more divine, if I could use that terminology, than you think it is.
Do you think Tim Wise is a racist?
Do I think Tim Wise is a racist? No, I don't.
Oh.
No. Now, if you look at Dr. Francis Cress Wilson's definition on racism, not even on a subconscious level, do I say that he's a knowing, conscious individual that's being racist? No, not at all. I'm not studying his work. Now, you may know some aspects about him that I just don't know.
I brought it up because one of my life objectives for the next year is to put Tim Wise out of business. He's been on this program 6 times, and in addition to admitting to being a racist, I gave him the definition. He admitted to being a racist white supremacist. He wrote me a letter and referenced Dr. Frances Cress Welsing's work as pseudoscientific bullshit. Direct quote. Pseudoscientific bullshit. And he mistreated a non-white 10-year-old. He was very rude with her, my co-host. She asked him if he was a racist. He got an attitude. I've just seen a lot of evidence. Number one, he admitted to being a racist. I feel like I should be able to just end right there. He admitted to being a racist. And I've seen...
So he said nothing else in reference to that, just blatantly said he was a racist. He never gave any explanation or any...
Oh, he explained it. He explained it, but the definition that I used was that he consciously and or unconsciously, directly and or indirectly practices racism, mistreats individuals because they are not white. And he said, yes, that would be accurate. It's on the show. It was recorded. But I believe he consciously practices racism. And, in fact, I think he's most devastating because of the effect he has on non-white people. Non-white people see him and think, you know, Christ has returned. This is our Savior. This is, you know, our divine intervention, if you will. And I think that's real dangerous, particularly for somebody who's an admitted racist. I just think that's real dangerous. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes sense, but if you're a virtuoso at the piano, then you would be considered a what? A pianist, right?
Okay.
So the same with the violin. You'd be considered a violinist. So whether consciously or subconsciously determined, if I am participating in being white and that which advances white people forward, whether subconsciously or consciously determined, then I guess under those circumstances, yes, he would probably have to admit that he's a racist because he's white. He's not going to promote black power now, is he?
I seriously doubt it.
Okay, so that's why I think he's very beneficial to us, to the point where he speaks to white people, because surprisingly enough, white people need to be taught too. That is just not my job or your job. But guess what? That is Tim's job.
Wow. Just in your opinion, do you think that white people are going to stop practicing racism, white supremacy voluntarily?
Do I think they're going to stop? I don't think that they're going to stop. No, absolutely not. We can check it, though.
Okay.
Now, whether black people, your friends, think that they've gotten to the point where everything is fine in America, and white people have actually stopped now that there's a black president or African-American president, as they say, then I think those are the ones that are greatly deceived, man. Do you understand what I'm saying? And I think that is the problem. You see, I think white people are doing exactly what white people are supposed to do. Don't you think so?
Practicing racism. That's what I expect them to do, and that's what I see them doing constantly. So, yes.
Okay. Then they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do, right or wrong?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now we have to ask part two to that question. Are we doing what we're supposed to do to counteract racism, white supremacy?
Apparently not.
Okay, so would we stop a person like C.O.W.S for teaching other white people the dangers of racism, white supremacy, whether he agrees with Dr. Frances Cress Welsing or not?
My answer would be no. I haven't seen any evidence that C.O.W.S doing his work stops other white people from being racist. In fact, I've seen evidence that it helps white people refine how they practice racism.
Okay.
That's been my...
That's from your perspective and where you're standing on the side of the road, and I may be down the street from you, and I'm viewing that accident from a different perspective.
That's true. Wow. Okay.
Simply because I've been in the same room with him. I've been asked this question during my lectures, and having to kind of deal with that and deal with white people firsthand. Yes, I truly believe that the masses of white people that I encounter are awake and aware of not only what their forefathers have done, and they're aware of the presence of racism, white supremacy. Now, a methodology and the energy that would go into counteracting this thing may take some time. Do I believe Tim is helping or hurting? I think he's helping those white people understand racism, white supremacy, because they're not going to listen to a professor. They did. They listened to Public Enemy. They were aware that these things exist. I think that's how Barack Obama got to where he's at. Because, we have to teach white people. May not teach them directly. Of course, Public Enemy taught them directly via the songs. You understand what I'm saying? Because they listen. They listen.
Yes, sir.
They always been listening.
They're listening now, I suspect.
They're listening now. You're right about that. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, and that's where I give Tim the credit.
Wow, okay. Well, I'm very clear about that. I believe Tim Wise is doing a lot to aid the refinement of racism, white supremacy, and I'm trying to put him out of business in 1 year. So I hope my listeners go check out the program, particularly check out the one in January of 2010. He did reference Dr. Welsing's work as pseudoscientific bullshit. He mistreated a non-white 10-year-old and a lot of other things. Just check out the broadcast. Go ahead.
Let me ask you something. He said this on your show?
Yes.
You see, he couldn't have said that to a person like me or my studio, because I would go into Dr. Frances Cress Welsing's work, and I'm well qualified and able to defend her in her work by studying her work. Now, we could define bullshit all day long, and we can't equate that to the ISIS papers' keys to the colors. Are you following me? Mm-hmm. Nor the body of work that she's put out. I don't even know how he got off the hook with that one, because it would have been a debate right then and there on the spot. And pseudo, we would have broke these words down, and then we would have went into her work, and he wouldn't have left my presence with that one. Sorry.
He explained.
And Tim, if you're listening, this is Professor Griff. Call me, man, 678-557-2919. We could talk about racism, white supremacy in reference to the perspective of which Dr. Frances Cress Welsing is putting it down. We could talk about it all day long, man. But as far as it being pseudo, scientific bullshit, we could talk about that, man.
I would love to see that conversation. He elaborated. He's been a guest here 6 times. We got extensive archives. He was here and he said that he felt that there's a lot of homosexuality all throughout the animal kingdom, and that it is pseudoscientific bullshit for her to say that white people, so-called mutants, are trying to turn black people into homosexuals.
Okay, so why don't you stop him and say, give me one species, one animal, one instance of where this naturally occurs in the animal kingdom. Now, we're not talking about these islands where they doing these scientific experiments, where we're seeing 3-legged dogs and three-headed giraffes and all this kind of magic. We're not talking about that stuff now. We found the island of Dr. Moreau, so what they actually made a movie about these experiments. So we're not talking about that stuff. Why didn't you stop them and say, name one animal that you've seen that's homo? That's like having a gay pet at home. Gay lions in the zoo. You understand what I'm saying? Stop that. Stop, man.
He said there have been, just hundreds of documented cases of animals, many different species, behaving in so-called engaging in
that's when they met white people. Yeah, that's when they met white people. When white people start putting their hands on them. The sheep don't know what it feels like to get fucked in the ass by a white man. Until white people came. Am I right or wrong?
Correct.
Giving birth to only damnable diseases. Sheep don't know anything about that. But venereal disease syphilis and all this other stuff are sheep diseases from humans interacting with sheep. Having sex with horses and cows and all this kind of stuff, that is not natural.
Well, he seems to suggest that it is natural and that there's nothing incorrect about it. And further, white people are not trying to do anything to turn black people into homosexuals, and that is pseudoscientific bullshit to suggest such a thing. I've seen quite a few of your lectures. Do you think there are white people trying to do things in the hip-hop industry, so-called hip-hop industry, to promote homosexual activity?
I think those that have actually sat in laboratories and put together the AIDS virus, yes. The experimentation and the destruction of the Native American with smallpox and other diseases. Of course, yeah, we can track that. That's no problem. You could go up online right now and pull that document down. Matter of fact, many documents on chemical and biological warfare in America on black people. So to answer that question, hell yeah. Yes, the military admitted experimenting with dropping a gay bomb. Oh, look it up for yourself.
Wow.
It's there. It's
you said a gay
to read.
You said a gay bomb.
Yes.
What is a gay bomb?
Chemical and biological warfare. And they admitted dropping the gay bomb. They testing it out overseas, and in Iraq, I believe, they said, matter of fact, and Afghanistan. And so when I started studying, I said to myself, okay, I didn't believe it at first until I started looking into acoustic sound weapons and fourth dimensional warfare. Then I went back into chemical and biological warfare, and yep, there it was. The military ponders dropping the gay bomb.
Where
these kind of, pardon me?
Where did this happen?
They said they was experimenting with it along with the acoustic sound weapons in Afghanistan and Iraq.
And the effect of this is that what are the effects of this gay bomb?
The effect of the gay bomb would be the soldiers of the opposing army or force would want to view one another and have sex with one another.
Crazy.
Thus weakening their troops.
Wow. Is hip-hop music having that effect on black people?
Yes, simply because the vibratory frequency and the music, along with the European word over the African drum, is causing this particular effect. And videos, magazines, and television, small screen and big screen, with the images that they're putting in front of the children. And our inability to counteract this. You know, we have to be careful. And if we seriously going to defend our sister, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, we have to look into some of the things that she's talked about, you know, in her book. She already laid out back in 1976 the ball games as symbols, the war on the balls. You understand what I'm saying? So chemical and biological warfare, she talked about the origin of the AIDS virus. AIDS, AIDS, Africans, and deep shit. Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
America is doing this shit. So we have to be careful. And I think in one of the chapters in her book, she talked about the justifiable homicide, symbolism, logic, and meaning of justifiable homicide. You know, in the 80s, she talked about this. And I believe the next chapter of her book actually talks about the motherfucker and the original motherfucker. So just studying her book and going up to the basic things in her book, Oh, yeah. A gentleman like Tim Wise will have a hard time dealing with any one of us that have took her book and put it under some serious research study.
Mm. I am still learning, but Dr. Wells, and she's going to be here for her 6th visit this Sunday. Like I said, I questioned him pretty assertively, and he got angry. He ultimately hung up the last time he was here. He got an attitude, but you know, in my view, I felt he was very discourteous, and he did not impress me as being sincere about ending racism. But I did want to point out, because you were talking about symbolism. I've heard you.
Can I say one thing before you go on to that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Send me those links.
Yes, sir.
Maybe I have a distorted view of this particular individual, simply because a lot of times when you're up close, you know, you don't see the full view. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Because when you talk about homosexuality and white people experimenting with chemical and biological warfare and frequencies and the vibratory frequencies in the music weakening black men, you can see this in hip-hop all day long, but she dealt with that in the 6th chapter of her book, The Politics Behind Black Male Passivity, Effeminization, Bisexuality, Homosexuality, way back in 1974.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So there.
Yeah. I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. Dr. Baruti, he's also close to your area of the world, and he's done homosexuality and the effeminization of the African male. I wholeheartedly agree, and I think there's a preponderance of evidence that racist white supremacists have been literally and figuratively castrating black males for a long time. So, yeah, I'm in total agreement. Specifically with hip hop, I've heard you give presentations where you talk about they have different hermaphrodite symbols in hip hop. Did I hear that correctly? And could you elaborate on that?
You said hermaphrodite symbols?
Yeah, unless I've misheard.
No, there was one particular hermaphrodite symbol that I talked about in relationship to this vibratory frequency that's now infiltrating and making its way into hip-hop, and you can see the outward expression of it when you see not outwardly gay rappers, but the average person now that interacts with these musical genres, especially hip-hop, and that particular symbol was the Baphomet, which is the unisex goat god, which they use as a symbol to worship Satan. And giving the history on the Baphomet, I went on to say in my lecture, the Illuminati's takeover of hip-hop, everyone under its spell, the gender line is blurred. And this is not anything new. I spelled it out and I showed the images. And the images is there. Everyone from little girls imitating Rihanna and Beyonce, imitating Lady Gaga. I went over into the history of Walt Disney, and I showed our people the Baphomet there, and the hidden signs and symbols. I brought out certain books and certain white researchers that have talked about this. Michael Tessarian, Jordan Maxwell, the David Icks. I brought out certain books, Symbols, Sex, and the Stars, on how Walt Disney incorporated all of this, not only in the cartoons, but the certain animals, the rides. I talked about the Illuminati, Walt Disney and the Illuminati world of mind control. And I talked about these things, and I gave them the visual documentation, as Ashra Kwesi would say. I gave them the visual documentation so they could see it for themselves. So So as to keep the weight back off of Professor Griff, and I'm like, wait a minute, all this stuff was talked about and written about already. But because I'm regurgitating it and reminding people that, this is still in front of us. We're still spending hundreds and thousands of dollars taking our children to Disneyland. I call it Disneyland. Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
The fact that Christina Aguilera, Justin Timberlake, and some of the guys from NSYNC and Backstreet Boys and these people, they were all mind-controlled slaves. All of them, not all of them, but the vast majority of them, Britney Spears and them, all of them were Mickey Mouse Mouseketeers, remember?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All of them came through that mind-control experiment. I told them, people, man, I said, I'm not playing with this. All of them are written. Their names are written in the documents. Study the Walt Disney and the Illuminati's world of mind control by Fritz Springmeier. He's the same one that wrote the 13 Bloodlines of the Illuminati. And one of the families, the 13 Bloodlines, one of the families is McDonald's, who owns the McDonald's. So when I started breaking down the symbolism of McDonald's, people were like, I don't know, Professor Griff, man, you reach. And I'm like, yeah, okay. When I started breaking down the Disney Corporation and these people, they said, you really reach it now, you see, because they don't want me to uproot this thing. They don't want me to move them out of their comfort zone. So when you present a degree of truth, as Brother Baruni does, and Dr. Francis Cress Wilson, with documented proof, we're not just talking, we're presenting the facts. It always becomes a problem, especially with our people, man.
Wow. Again, context of white supremacy, our guest, Professor Griff. I saw your presentation at the second annual Nat Turner Day weekend celebration, and two things jumped out at me big time when you were speaking.
Okay.
Number one,
I'm only laughing because I kind of went raw that day, but go ahead.
That's the best way to be, best way to breathe. I was watching your presentation, and I love you asked that they turn the camera around on the audience because you said there have got to be some informants here. I wanted, if you could just talk about, number one, why you should just expect that to be the case, and then if you could share maybe how we should think about dealing with this.
Well, you know something, I almost expected, simply because we at the day and time where his world is crumbling and his world is coming to a crashing halt. His economy is coming to a grinding halt. His health care, his trade, his inability to communicate with other people in other nations and countries, especially China, this ongoing fake war on terrorism, a controlled African-American puppet sitting in the president. See, I would almost expect Asians to be in the audience simply because hip-hop at one time was the voice of the voiceless. And people like Professor Griff remind them of the voices of old. Remind them of the Mau Mau, the Nat Turner, the spirit and energy of Malcolm, Steve Biko, Winnie Mandela. Are you following me? Che Guevara. And if they're hearing this frequency and this vibration coming from the young brothers and sisters that are still on the front line, regardless of what they do to us, burn our houses down, poison us, shoot at us, threaten us, stick the IRS on us, and all manner of things that they do, and we still on the front lines, they're like, wow, either they baby kids or they true revolutionaries. Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
So yeah, I would almost expect them to be in the audience to take this information back to their field offices. Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
I don't expect anything less. If they did anything less, they wouldn't be on their job. Matter of fact, I'd probably have to take the DVD down to the office and give it to them.
Wow. What would your suggestions be on how to deal with their inevitable presence?
for black people that are in the audience, that are really coming to get the information, to teach our people, to raise the conscious level of our people so we can prepare to lay the blueprint for that next generation. We have to get knowledge itself and lock arms. Tighten the ranks. Are you following me?
Yes, sir. Well,
so regardless of whether an agent is sitting in the room or not, hell, we strong enough to convert the damn agent. That's how the truth works. Are you following me?
Yes, sir. Wow.
It's as simple as that.
Okay.
I know it sounds simple, but the methodology in which we need to do this may be a little bit more complicated. And one of the methods that I use is having people become symbol literate.
How do you do that?
I think we have to demystify who these people are, and then we have to decode. We have to decode these symbols. We have to tap back into our sacred sciences and let them know that this is ours. We've always had this. I wore the Ankh on the back of one of the shirts that I wear when I perform with Public Enemy, and one of the Christian brothers came up to me. It was basically like, why are you wearing that heathen, pagan symbol on your back?
Wow.
I said, excuse me? I went in my wallet. I pulled out about 5 crisp $100 bills. I said, I will give you $500 if you can prove that the Ark has anything to do with paganism from ancient, or as you say, ancient Egypt or Egypt. You understand what I'm saying? See, they have taken the study that white people have done in Egypt, and they're basing their conclusion on that body of work. So when you present the Dr. John Henry Clark, the Dr. Ben, Ivan Van Sertima, Runoko Rashidi, Aswa Kwesi, Mary Rakwesi, and I can go on and on. When you present this body of work, then it's like, oh, I see what you're saying, Professor Griff.
Wow. I wanted to ask, generally when I hear you give presentations, you're always dropping books. When you were with us last year, you told us about John Potage, the FBI's war against Tupac Shakur and black males. Outstanding book. He came on the program about a month after you were here. Excellent information. Yeah, it was real solid. I wanted to know if you have been able to read Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews, Volume 2, and if so, did you have any thoughts to share?
My thoughts would take another show, bro. Because as you know, back in the 80s, I dropped the information on the first one, which ended up getting me kicked out of Public Enemy and poisoned. So for me to drop this next one, I want to do it in a skillful kind of way, whereas not to be so emotional about it. I want to do it in an arena where it would be not only a challenge, because I don't mind a challenge. I want to do it in an arena where we can have dialogue about it, as opposed to black people around me getting weak and cowardly. You understand what I'm saying? Throwing me out of groups and organizations and shunning me and then participating with our open enemy to burn down my house and possibly trying to take my life by poisoning me. Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
So not only did I read that, Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews, Volume 2, how Jews gain control of the black American economy, I read Willie Lynch's Newest Slaves by Philip A. Muhammad. Did you see that book?
Wow, I did not. Can you give me that also again? I'm trying to write that down.
Willie Lynch's Newest Slave. And the newest slave, the brother said, is the hip-hop nation. And he goes over 400 pages worth of names, faces, organizations, people that conspired against black people and hooked up with Jewish people in order to dumb down hip-hop and take the control of the reins of hip-hop, and who worked along with these people and exactly how they went about dumbing down hip-hop. He names and names. And after he goes over the history, shows you the links, how they did it, what films, what news corporations, what television shows, what movies that came out, what songs, who participated in it, and he lays it out.
What is the author's name again, sir?
Philip A. Muhammad.
Philip A. Muhammad.
A brother from the West Coast.
Wow. And this is recent? This just came out?
Yeah, it just came out.
Wow, okay. Outstanding. I will check that out immediately.
No, the brother don't mind you call him 818-403-8875. 818-403-8875. You can call the brother as soon as we hang up. The brother is thorough.
Wow. Thank you, sir. I'm going to try and make that pay off today. Thank you. I appreciate it.
The brother said on the back of the book, he said, corporate America makes billions of dollars a year. And their profits are made from the consumer behaviors of the masses of the people. The records and videos that generate capital for these mega conglomerates are used as tools to gain the necessary wealth and power to institute policies and procedures and programs and systems that benefit the interests of the specific group of people. And that group of people is not black people. It is within the context that the so-called Negro rapper must accept the fact that they are being used to further the global political agenda of those that care little about the rapper themselves and the communities from which they come from, and more about the continuation of slave-based economy and slave versus master global politics.
Wow.
Philip A. Muhammad.
Wow. I'm going to contact him today. Wow. Okay. Before I moved off of Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews, Volume 2, Mr. Tim Wise is also Jewish. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
He is also Jewish. He admitted that on the program as well. I also wanted to know if you could tell us a little bit about analytics. I just saw that. If you could tell us a little bit about that and how we could get a copy.
Analytics is a book that I wrote, put together shortly after I failed in my attempt to try to recover the information that I had put together on 2 other books that I almost had complete that were in my computer in my house when it burned down. I made several attempts to try to contact people that I sent articles to and people that had files of mine on thumb drives and that kind of thing, and I was unable to do it. This is why it took me so long to get so close to putting up a psychological covert war on hip-hop. I was almost complete with it, and it got destroyed. But I did promise myself that I would have a book out, and the idea of the book came to me when I was studying Barudi's work, and I was looking into his work and seeing how his work was so analytical, where you would study, but then again you would have to study the footnote and the bibliography. Do you follow me?
Yes, sir.
And the people that I and study and read, their work is also like that. It's kind of like they're in layers. So I started thinking about critical thinking. What's the brother that passed on to the ancestral realm? Asa Hilliard.
Mm-hmm.
His work is like that. So I started thinking about the process of deep critical thinking, and that term analytics came to mind on critical thinking. So I said, why not let the people hear exactly what I have to say from my perspective, unedited. So I pulled in all those interviews that were out there, and I pulled them together that would give people a well-rounded view of what I've been dealing with for 20 years. And I put it together in a volume of work entitled Analytics, 20 Years of Conversations and Interviews with Professor Griff, Public Enemies Minister of Information.
Wow. How can people...
And I laid it out, and surprisingly enough, to this day, even after I laid it out, people still call me anti-Semitic. What
do they point to when they say that?
Pardon me?
What statements do they point to when they say that about you?
Oh, they basically said how in my interview back in the 80s, I said that Jewish people can't build homes and Jewish people did this and controlled the music industry. And when I heard the Jewish people controlled the industry for the 150,000th time, I said to myself, well, that's not hard to figure out. You can go up on YouTube or Google. They say that about themselves. Then, lo and behold, I meet Brother Philip A. Muhammad, who put this book in my hand. Then Minister Farrakhan recently released a secret relationship between blacks and Jews, and guess what, brother? Professor Griff was correct. So a young white guy put on YouTube, or not on YouTube, I forgot what medium it was in on what channel it was on the internet. He asked a question. He said, should Public Enemy apologize to Professor Griff for kicking him out of the group in reference to the Jewish statements now that Minister Farrakhan and other people have proved Professor Griff to be correct? The brothers in Public Enemy said, hell no.
Wow. What was the reason they gave for saying, there shouldn't be an apology?
Because they don't want those Jewish issues to come back up.
Wow.
They don't want to regurgitate that kind of stuff. And I said, well, not beating a dead horse, but now that history is proving me to be correct, shouldn't someone say something? When you Google my name right now, the Jewish stuff come up. It's not that Professor Griff is an author, Professor Griff is a grandfather, Professor Griff is an educator, Professor Griff is a lecturer. None of that stuff comes up. Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
So now that 16, 17, and 18 and 20-year-olds is like, we want Professor Griff to come to our school and speak. Guess who becomes the buffer now that stops me from coming? Wikipedia.
Wow.
That was a full-blown argument with a Caucasian gentleman at the school. Black people wanted me to come, but they had them approve it to have me paid. No, we don't pay people that yada yada yada, whoopty whoopty whoop. And they're like, well, where are you getting this information from? He's cool with us. They said, well, you go on Wikipedia, and they were like, shame on you. You the director, and you getting your information from Wikipedia? Any research should know you don't go to Wikipedia, because anybody can write anything on Wikipedia. Right or wrong?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I pointed out WikiLeaks, another website. Have you been there?
No, sir. WikiLeaks, is that it?
Oh, yeah, you gotta. If they haven't taken it down, you have to go there, brother. This gentleman had put some information up on WikiLeaks, and he started a whole movement on telling the truth about what's going on in America. And these are all of the things that are leaked to the press that are factual. And I heard recently that they're trying to bring him up on charges.
Wow.
And because he's withholding his sources, he can't kind of like divulge his sources, and they're coming after him.
Wow.
Now, this is critical. Now, everything that I said, go back if you can find it, which was another problem with my book. We couldn't find the original Professor Griff, David Mills article. So it resurfaced when he dropped dead recently. People were calling me and said, did you know the guy that interviewed you that got you in trouble with the Jews? Did you know he dropped dead the other day? I'm like, no, I didn't realize that. They said, well, what do you think about it? And I refused to comment. So I said, call me back in a couple of days and I'll make a statement. They called me back, and the only statement I made was, find the article. Find the interview that David Mills interviewed Professor Griff. You can't find it. Isn't that a shame?
Wow.
Wait a minute. Let me make this a little bit simpler for your listening audience. I do an interview with a black man who takes the conversation with his white Jewish girlfriend sitting next to him. I lay this whole thing out. The next day, him and his Jewish girlfriend transcribed. Matter of fact, they told me they sat up all night and transcribed every word I said, put it in text, faxed it out to all of the Jewish organizations, which ultimately ended up on the desk of Russell Simmons, Rick Rubin, Leo Cohen, and some other people that ultimately got me kicked out of Public Enemy, thanks to the brothers in Public Enemy. Right? Years later now, after house burning down, getting poisoned and all this stuff, I go to find the article, right, because I no longer have the original because my house burned down.
Mm.
I go back to find it on the internet, and it's nowhere to be found. Can you imagine that?
That's a tough one. That's a tough one. Wow. It hasn't surfaced on the internet, like nobody has put it online or anything?
Ain't that something? It's something as major as bringing down the most powerful, socially conscious, politically conscious rap group ever in the history of music. You can't find an interview that the Minister of Information, Professor Griff, did? Come on, stop that. Something is up with that. So as I talk about the Illuminati takeover of hip-hop and where hip-hop is today and everything that's going on with the individuals in hip-hop and these pivotal events that serve as markers in the chronological history of hip-hop, when you get to that point with Public Enemy with Professor Griff, it's always a question mark. And you know what the question mark is, brother?
What's that?
And I don't mean to be so vulgar and so raw with it. This is what I heard when people were talking when they didn't think I was listening, brother. They said, why is that motherfucker still living?
Wow. Wow. These were black
Plain
people?
and simple.
Were these black people saying that?
Black and white.
Wow. Wow.
Black people were having a conversation with white people, and that's exactly what they said. Why the fuck is this motherfucker still living?
What were the black people? What were the black people so upset about?
They was upset at the fact that Public Enemy could have been this Rolling Stones kind of iconic kind of musical group that could have served our people in Africa and throughout the world by bringing people together, and everybody took out violins and fucking Kleenex and wanted to cry. Harps and angels started flying and shit. I'm like, man, please. Please. That wasn't the Public Enemy's intent. At that particular time, if you can remember what was going on in the world, are you following me?
Yes,
and what was going on in politics and what was going on with our people, we said what we needed to say at that particular time, right or wrong.
Yes, sir.
You can't go back and undo that. So it is what it is. Now, if someone said to me that this thing is only going to last 2 years, man, as soon as the bell rings first round, I'm going in. Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
So I did my grassroots work. Went to the prisons, went to the hospitals, went to the hood. As dangerous as the hood was at that time, for somebody from New York to be going into a hood in St. Louis, in Liberty City, in Watts, in Compton, and in Houston, and other places. Come on, man. That's unheard of, bro. But we did it, and we had no fear because we were going to get our people. So for you to do me in, because I made some comments, obvious, truthful comments about some people that was controlling this whole thing, stop that. And now it's come out that there are volumes of work of being written about this, and I can't get an apology? Come on, stop, man.
Wow. Wow. If you had to compare the way you were treated when you made your comments during the interview with Mr. Mills to the way Flavor Flav is treated now for his conduct, who would you say is treated worse?
Well, if you look at it, it almost appears as though Flavor is rewarded.
Wow.
No?
Rewarded. Wow.
I'm punished for making truthful comments. Flavor is rewarded for obviously doing some buffoonery, some clothing, some tap dancing. Am I right or wrong?
Certainly seems you are correct, sir. Wow.
That's just an assessment of it from the inside out. Now, let's look at it from the outside in. Let's reverse this. Let me be the interviewer and ask you. So let me ask you something, good brother. So back in the 80s when you were coming up and the music that you listened to, what did Public Enemy mean to the masses of black people?
Wow. I mean, wow. This is probably a big reason why I'm doing the show today. It was just being informed about racism, being informed that we're in a system of white supremacy, that if you are a black person, the black male in the crosshairs, if you are a black person, you are under attack, and you should be doing something about that. That's what Public Enemy meant, to me anyway.
Public Enemy had the same sting, the same wherewithal, the same impact that it did then. Now that Flavor Flav has communicated his brand of love to 7.5 million viewers on a weekly basis?
It would be real tough to say it's got the same impact. I mean, it's kind of a big contradiction.
Okay, contradiction to the point where the once saviors of the preservation of the mind of black people, their agenda was raising 5,000 black leaders and raising the conscious level of the people. You mean to tell me they can't do that now that Flavor has high visibility and is on TV, has its own show, sitcom, commercials, this kind of thing? Not the same impact?
It would be tough for me. I mean, it would seem like if, everyone in the group should be on the same page. It looks like everyone in the group is not on the same page.
How about your children when they view this monumental, iconic hip-hop group, when they view the group through the eyes of a VH1, do you think it would have the same impact on them?
Wow. I don't think my kids would have the same view of Public Enemy as I do, seeing Flavor Flav on VH1 and the commercials and such.
Okay, can you see these images in monumental works written by Paul Grant, niggas, Negroes, black people, Africans? Or how about Tom, Coons, Mulatto, Mammies, and Bucks, written by Donald Bargle? An interpretation of interpretive history of blacks in American film. These images that you see on the Flavor of Love and other images that you see, do you think it helps or hurts the image of the black male in America?
Oh, man. I definitely cannot.
These are just some of the things I would ask. Are you following me?
Yes,
can we say, is Flavor rewarded or is he kept in check by something that should have been instilled in the culture of hip-hop to check the madness? Because of the Flavor Flavs, right, and that kind of mindset, wanting to be successful. Keep in mind, Dr. Francis Cress Welsing was correct. Flavor's a victim of racism, white supremacy. So we're not ragging on him. We're just pointing out some of these things. But because of the Flavors and the Flavor of Love, it spawned a whole slew of unreality shows. Then now rappers are coming up saying, wait a minute, you talking about Public Enemy? You mean the dude with the clock with the tipping the women on TV? That becomes the initial thought now. Are you following me? So it gives birth to little rappers like Lil B, who says he's a pretty bitch. It gives birth to Waka Flockas, who said they make music to sell drugs to. It gives birth to Cat Stacks. It gives birth to rappers like Soulja Boy. Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
And then those of us that are OGs in the game, we sit back and we almost become apologists for this madness. So I'm saying no. Flavor's a victim. Soulja Boy's a victim. Waka Flocka's a victim. The T.I., the Nellies, Jermaine Dupri's, the Puffies are victims of racism, white supremacy, because they're playing right into it. I'm not ragging on these brothers. We love them to life. We know they're talented, but they need to study and understand homosexuality and the feminization of the African man. You need to study that, Buffy. You understand what I'm saying? We need to study the ideology of racism. to study that. We need to study the white problem in America. We need to study too much school and too little education. We have to study these things, the architects, who are the white architects of black education, to the point where some of these brothers that I'm talking about got the degrees from colleges and still doing this madness. What was it that the brother said in Tom's, Coons, Mulattoes, Mammies, and Bucks? You understand what I'm saying? Did Ice-T and the rest of these people study that before they went into film? Because this is an interpretive history of black and American films. Obviously, they didn't. They didn't study Amos Wilson's book, Black on Black Violence, the psychodynamics of black self-annihilation and servitude to white domination. Because if they would have read that, they would know exactly what I was talking about. I'm not trying to invent anything new. I'm standing on the shoulders of all of those that came before me. They already put it down. But anyway, I'm not going to talk you to death.
Again, context of white supremacy, our guest, Professor Griff. Real pleasure to have him on the show again. I've heard a recent interview you did on World Star Hip Hop. Did you tell them that you felt like you were supposed to be Public Enemy's blood sacrifice?
That's exactly what I said. I said, in sacrificing to advance your personal cause, who was Public Enemy supposed to sacrifice? You understand what I'm saying? It's supposed to be Professor Griff, because I'm not supposed to be living right now. You talk about getting poisoned, you talk about getting shot at, which is all there on the internet. The history is there. Getting thrown out of the group, brought down to nothing, no royalty checks, no money, no this, that, and the other. No one really coming to my aid. No money tree in the backyard, no cash pile to draw from, just having to survive and being labeled and stamped as an anti-Semite. Now I got to operate, and I got to still stay on my mission to raise the conscious level of black people. But now I'm in a situation where, okay, well, how do you survive? Second divorce, women basically said, well, look, I didn't sign up for this, Chris. I'm out. You understand what I'm saying? Can you imagine just kind of day to day, just your average brother you grew up with, your friend, not even wanting to take a picture with you and be around you? Can you imagine that?
Wow.
Can you imagine being on the video on the movie set, Spike Lee movie that we did with Denzel Washington? And we're all in the room, and no one wants to come near me because there's cameras in the room.
Wow.
Can you imagine not wanting your name next to my name in an article? It's like, or don't want to be associated with anything I have to say or do? That's critical, man. You would think I raped somebody. You would think I stole some money. You would think, wow.
I'm just trying to draw a comparison for our audience. Do you think you were treated worse than R. Kelly?
I would say 20 times.
Wow.
There's nothing happened to R. Kelly. What happened to R. Kelly?
Something had to happen. Something had to happen.
I'm going to ask you again in English. Maybe you didn't understand the question. What happened to R. Kelly? When that madness was going on with R. Kelly, I took a flight to New York because I was going to the studio to do some work. I made a mistake and walked up from the train because I took a flight to Jersey and took the train over and took the train down to Penn Station and came up from the damn subway, and there was a line wrapped around Madison Square Garden twice to see R. Kelly. At the peak of what was going down with him pissing on 13-year-olds. So this shit happened to R. Kelly. Ask Barry Ankerson. Matter of fact, Barry, if you listen to this, call me, 678-557-2919. Barry Ankerson is Aaliyah's uncle. Ask Barry Anderson if anything happened to R. Kelly. There ain't nothing happened to R. Kelly. He went under the table and paid some people some money to shut up and be quiet. What else happened to R. Kelly? Let me tell you, man, what the fuck should have happened to R. Kelly. No, we're not going to go that route here. We're going to turn the volume down.
Wow. I hope that listeners really think about that. R. Kelly, I think there was evidence that he did a lot of really incorrect things that should be totally unacceptable to everyone. Professor Griff just made some comments in an article, and did anybody get hurt as a result of what you said?
According to Hank Shockley from the Bomb Squad, those statements ruined his career.
Wow. How did he elaborate on how that happened?
Just like Judas, he had a $3 million deal on the table for Soul Records, Sounds of Urban Listeners. With the first group they signed was a bunch of white dudes calling themselves the Young Black Teenagers.
What? You said it was a bunch of white dudes calling themselves.
Go look it up, man. Put it in the search engine, Young Black Teenagers. All white dudes signed by Hank Shockley, Soul Records. They offered him $3 million. See, I interrupted all of that and disrupted all of that because of my comments in reference to the truth of what I've told about the music industry, coming from documents that I've read entitled, books that I've read entitled The Octopus and The International Jew and other stuff that they said I had referenced. So this kind of, that's for his career. This is what I'm hearing.
Wow. Incredible.
So just making some statements, reading from quotes and documents that Jewish people have written. This is what happens to me. Flavor gets handed a reality show after licking on a white woman in the other reality show. So he gets this Flavor of Love show, and black women are defecating on the floor. Defecating on the floor. He's wearing pink, pimping women on TV, but yet he gets the opportunity to run through $5-6 million. And, I'm struggling to get some bread and a veggie burger. Okay. Now, what happened to these people?
Apparently, they were rewarded. I think it would be accurate to say R. Kelly was rewarded as well. Do you think that would be an accurate statement?
Let's see. Dresses in all white, and he does this. He's slated to do an entire tour, which would bring him over $100 million. The tour would bring in $100 million. They said that he was doing at the time with Jay-Z. Let me see. So, recording contract still intact, right?
Yes, sir.
Never went to jail.
Correct.
Paid a little bit of money under the table. Still got his family. Still got his livelihood. Still got money in the bank. Wasn't poisoned. Wasn't shot at. House didn't burn down. I'd say he got rewarded, yeah.
Wow.
But we gave him a pass.
Wow.
Come on, man.
And black people, you're talking about black people, correct?
Black people.
Black people.
At the behest of our slave masters' children. I'm saying that to say this. We have to stand up to such a degree where the R. Kellys of the world will never have a chance to piss on another 13-year-old. That's all I'm saying, bro. Are you following me?
Yes, sir. Yeah, quite. Do you have any time to take a question or two? Because some folks called in.
Oh, I don't mind.
Oh, okay.
I'm already locked in the conversation, so.
Oh, okay. We are privileged. Yeah, I'll see, because we got quite a few folks that dialed in. 818, did you have a question? 818?
Hi, greetings, Professor Griff. I do have a question. I heard you talking about the Disney movies earlier. I wanted to know if you've had a chance.
Wait, hold on. You got to slow down. You heard me talking about the what earlier?
The Disney movies.
Oh, the Disney movies. Oh, I thought you said something else. I'm sorry. Go on.
Oh, no, I heard you talking about the Disney movies, and I wanted to know if you had a chance to see Disney's The Princess and the Frog.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I sat and watched that with my daughter. Yeah.
Did you see any elements of racism in that movie?
Did I?
Yes.
Yes, as a matter of fact, I wrote an article on it which got rejected by this magazine. I'm looking at my computer now. I could probably forward it to you.
I would appreciate that.
So.
Me too.
Okay. All right.
I'm at ebonynewschannel@gmail.com.
Well, my thing is just email me, just give me a reminder. I'll get it to you. It's Professor Griff, PE@gmail.com.
Okay. Yeah, I did a video on it on YouTube and pointed out that I felt as if they were promoting the idea to black girls that they could never have a black prince or count on a black man to come to the rescue. And I got a lot of backlash for it. I mean, I don't care about the backlash. I saw it for what it was. But, you know, the thing is when you look at it, too, she got the bummiest of all the guys because he was from a rich family, but he wasn't a hard worker. He was lazy. He constantly put her down. He didn't believe in her dreams. Her friends didn't support her. She's working like a slave to earn something. They killed her father off early. And then she only becomes something once she marries this guy, and then he gives her what it is she dreams of. And I felt like it was... I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
I said I did a comparative with that and aspects of the whole mindset of the so-called post-slavery in dealing with the Willie Lynch letter. So I went into the Willie Lynch letter and extracted that information that it dealt with the woman.
Okay.
With that in mind, I wrote my article. So the things that you're pointing out are very true.
Do you see any correlation between Willie Lynch and what's currently being promoted to black women now as far as the, you're successful and you should find a white man because black men are short in supply and they aren't any good?
Well, mainly because in the Willie Lynch letter, where it talks about the role of the black woman, they call her something else, but the role and how she should be handled. Are you following me? Mm-hmm. Which is a lot more graphic than we can probably get into right now. But, of course, you can draw a direct correlation and say, okay, well, wow, this was supposed to have happened 1700s. They said that Willie Lynch, the whole mindset and the whole experiment, so to speak, would last 300 years. That was written in 1712. We have to 2012 to undo and unlock and decode this whole Willie Lynch thing. Now, a lot of black people are saying, well, Willie Lynch never existed. But does it damn matter? It doesn't matter. We're feeling the effects of it. Am I right or wrong? And suffering from the effects of it. So, yes, you can draw a direct correlation. Read the Willie Lynch letter, go into it, and look at how the woman would be handled. And it jumps right off the page at you. Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm here.
Oh, okay. She must have been looking for the Willie Lynch letter. This is the breaking process of the African woman. And the book is only about 20 pages long. It's not a hard read. Are you following me? It says, then take the female and run a series of tests on her. What was that test, sister, if we bring it up in a modern-day context? The test was the projects. Well, the projects is over. They're tearing them down now, building lofts with the CIA covert operation called redistribution. Are you following me? But run a series of tests on her to see if she will submit to your desires, keyword, willingly. Test her in every way because she is not an important factor. She is the most important factor, pardon me, for good economics. If she shows any sign of resistance in submitting completely to your will, do not hesitate to use the bullwhip on her to extract the last bit of bitch out of her. Did you hear what I just said?
Yeah.
To extract the last bit of bitch out of her. Now, I stopped right there, and it took me to Queen Afua's book called Sacred Woman. Did you read that book, sister?
No. What is the title again?
You might want to get a hold of Sacred Woman by Queen Afua.
Okay.
Now, it took me to the 12th chapter of Queen Afua's book, Sacred Woman. In the 12th chapter of her book, Queen Afua talks about bitch possession. And it goes over the different bitches. Are you following me?
Mm-hmm.
And this is the thing that we need to understand coming up out of the Willie Lynch letter. It deals with the different characteristics. It says on page 309 in Queen Afua's book, chapter 12, the bitch, how she got that way and how to heal her. We need to heal from bitch possession. Are you following me?
Yeah.
In order to heal from this bitch possession, we have to go back into the Willie Lynch letter and the making of a slave in the chapter where it talks about the breaking process of the African woman. And if she doesn't cooperate and submit to your will, don't hesitate to use the bullwhip to extract the last bit of bitch out of her. But it says, take care not to kill her, for in doing so, you spoil good economics. And that's exactly what's going on today, sister, to answer your question directly.
Why do you say that? Why do you say that we only have until 2012?
No, I said we don't. I'm just saying. I was making that direct correlation between the Willie Lynch letter because it said it would take 300 years, and this was written in 1712.
Okay.
So that 2012 is very significant when it comes to breaking the curse of the Willie Lynch making of a slave.
Thank you, 818. Excellent questions. Person dialed in, last four digits, 5301. 5301. Did you have a question?
Good afternoon. Can I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, Brother Griff. I have a question specifically about Public Enemy. At the time that the group was big in the 80s, you seem to be very big supporters of Minister Louis Farrakhan and the work that he's done in the community. Looking at the 60-plus years of history of the Nation of Islam and looking at the condition of black people in North America as we exist today, and we even look at the continent of Africa and realize how many Arabs have come in just like the Europeans and been oppressors of our people. Do you think that it's constructive for us as black people to continue running around screaming Allahu Akbar when Arabs are just oppressors just like the Europeans are oppressors of our people? Don't you think it's time that we turn the page on Islam as well as we're doing on Christianity?
Yeah, of course, definitely. But what Islam are you talking about? You talking about the Arabized version of nature's reality, Islam, and what we gave to the Arab as their religion? Or are you talking about the nature of the black man and woman?
Well, I'm talking about Islam as an ideology. More specifically, when you look at us as a people, we know that when we go back to the mother continent of Africa, we were not practicing Islam. When we go back to the ancients, we weren't practicing Islam, we weren't practicing Christianity. Our African spirituality was not Islam. And we can call it black Islam today, we can dress it up in blackface, but that's still not African spirituality.
No, I really truly beg to differ with you. Islam is the nature in which we were created. Now, you can call it what you want to. You can call it the letters. You can call it whatever language that you want to use, but it's our nature. Now, if you're talking about the methodology in which we gave the Arab to practice the religion called Islam, then I would definitely have to agree with you. Definitely.
Okay.
But that's our nature, brother, and all those things come from black people. practiced Christianity on the continent of Africa way before the white man came. We practiced Islam on the continent before the white man came. Studied Runoko Rashidi's work, studied Dr. Ben's work. We were there, Ivan Van Serkema's work. We were there. And we practiced and studied Christianity and Islam. We were all black and brown before we met the white man. Straight hair, cheeky hair, curly hair. This was us as a people. Now, the form in which you see some of these religions today, I have to agree with you. I'll definitely have to agree with you.
Person called in 3413. 3413. Did you have a question? There's a lot of background.
All right, you may get up, Paul, if you don't want snack. Put your chair up under it.
3413, there's a lot of background noise. If you had a question, your line is open, 3413, last four digits, 3413.
Just listening.
Okay. Let's see. Person who called in, Mr. Nero.
So can I just say something?
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes,
I don't want the brother to think that I was evading the question. The whole idea of using the term Africa is some Johnny-come-lately stuff. You understand what I'm saying? That's number one. The fact that, we kind of think that the only people that existed on that continent are the people that we have today with thick lips, broad nose, cheeky hair, that is not the case. There's no one facial prototype for an African, as C.O.W.S teach. Are you following me?
Yeah,
you can't look at one black person and say, that's the face of Africa. No. Everybody come from us. We look like some of everyone. Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
And these quote-unquote religious practices and rituals that they go through today come from us. Bilal took Islam to the white Arab. Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
Our people coming up out of the interior of Africa was already practicing Christianity. Contrary to popular belief, the cross is a sacred symbol. It's 5 inches deep, thick into the pyramid walls. Are you following me?
Yes.
The cross is just as ancient as the Ark. If you really want to tell the truth about it, look at it. But now, what happens when you take the cross and you put the white bloody Jesus on it? Okay, it demonizes it. It turns it into something else. Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
So, of course, we had African spiritual concepts coming up out of Africa under the name of Islam and Christianity, borrowed from our Kemetic ancestors and borrowed from the Ethiopian ancestors, borrowed from those of us that, didn't speak the bastard language called English.
You said that Africa is a Johnny-come-lately term. Can you kind of deconstruct that for our audience?
Well, my thing is this. If you look at the timeline that's given to us by Paul Simmons out of England, if you look at a timeline of the name of the particular place in that geographical location, it wasn't called Africa. Dr. Ben says Akabulan, right? Look at Dr. Ben's work. Dr. Ben said the Greeks named Africa. Africa. I'm only going over Dr. Ben's work, what Dr. Ben said. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So we have to look at that. If we look at a timeline, of course, we would see that there was many names for the continent. When the Teutonic plates were together, the place was called Pangaea. But we don't run around calling ourselves Pangaeans, do we?
No, sir.
Okay, so we have to look at these things, man. This is not to insult anybody that calls themselves African, but hell, I don't mind you being African on the way to becoming your God self. Man, we're the gods and goddesses, brothers. Africa is a shortstop. What's Muslim is a short stop, man. That's a vacation. That's a pulling over on the side of the road getting a snack, man. You know, I'm serious. I'm not trying to disrespect anyone. I'm just telling y'all straight what it is, man. We are gods and goddesses, man. We are all gods, children of the Most High God, man. We're the mothers and fathers of this thing here. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
We come right out of the triple darkness, out of the womb of the universe. You understand what I'm saying? Gods and goddesses. And you will reduce yourself down to be just a mere Muslim or Christian or African. Stop that. You should be ashamed of yourself. I'm telling everybody, next time you call me, ask to speak to God, having a human experience called Griff. 678-557-2919. Now I speak to God, having a human experience called Griff. Thank you. And then I'll answer the phone. We are all God. Everything that's divine is in you, brother, right or wrong. It's in the people that called. It's in your listeners. Everything that's divine is in us. And I can feel the energy of the people. Let me clear some of this up. Go back and look at the teachings of Thoth. If you can't find the teachings of Thoth, it gives you a glimpse of what Thoth taught, or Jehudi taught, in a book called the Kabbalion, the Hermetic philosophy. All right? It'll go over the universal principles that govern everything in existence. Keep in mind when you're studying this, there's certain laws that govern the physical realm, and there's certain laws that govern the spiritual realm. Please keep this in mind before y'all call me with some foolishness. But Mr. Griff, I heard you say we wasn't African. Stop, man. You are gods. You're really spirit beings having a human experience. Because the human thing is cheap. We just need this physical body to operate in this third dimensional paradigm right now. Wayne Chandler knows what I'm talking about. Gilbert Bland knows what I'm talking about. Bobby Emmett knows what I'm talking about. Phil Valentine knows what I'm talking about. Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
And this is no different from anything that these brothers have said. As a matter of fact, Minister Farrakhan know what I'm talking about. Elijah Muhammad asked us the question, who is the original man? The original man is the Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, God of the universe. That's us. So what? Now, mind you going through your little phase, discovering yourself, and you're just at the point where you discover that you're African. That's cool, because I was there. But I passed that class and I moved on. Professor Smalls know what I'm talking about. You follow me? Dr. Leonard Jeffries know what I'm talking about. Dr. Ben know what I'm talking about. Study his birth, his work, Black Man of the Nile and his family. Dr. Ben lays this out. Now, don't argue with me. I'm only reading what the master teachers wrote. Anyway, our good brother, Fairfield Obanga, in his book, African Philosophy, Fairfield Obanga, he wrote these things. And we can't deny it. It is what it is.
Mr. Nero, did you have a question? Mr. Nero, if you have a question, your line is open, sir.
Not at this time, but hopefully you can get back to me quick.
Oh, okay. No problem. If you could press 1, that would be helpful. 818, did you have a question? 818, I saw your hand up.
Yes, I do have one more question for Professor Griff regarding the slave trade. I hear a lot of white people and a lot of black people who are in sexual relationships with white people always talking about how responsible Africans were for the slave trade and your own people sold you into slavery, etc. I wanted to know, can you elaborate on that, or is that, just a tactic of deflection that they use, or do you have any details on, what brought that about and to what extent Africans were involved?
Well, there's a list of things that was actually put out that white and black couples actually sit around and talk about it, what comes from those particular discussions, and that was one of it because it lessens and eases the blow of them having to come out in public and demonstrate their affection to one another. Black and white couples, it's real critical for them because that is one of the main questions that's going to come up because they actually try to justify and legitimize this particular union, which I don't know why they feel that they have to. Hell, you love who the hell you love. Don't put it back on us talking about we sold our own people into slavery. I dare them ask me that damn question. I say prove it. Plain and simple. Prove it. Give me one document, one incident, one instance. When, where, how. Prove it. And a lot of times we let them off the hook by arguing. Let's not argue anymore. Step back and say prove it. Just like people are doing to me today. It's like everything that's coming out of my mouth, callers are calling in like asking questions. Why don't we just sit them down and ask them a few questions? What tribe sold what tribe? How did it go down? What was the price? When did it happen? Did somebody document this? They kept critical records of every human being that was sold, traded, bought. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sure they got documentation of these things. When did it happen? What tribe was it? Can we pinpoint who it was? I'd like to figure this out. So I'm not falling for that. Them having to legitimize and justify them loving the opposite race and this, that, or the other. We're not trying to get in their bedroom, but we're saying don't force the madness on us. We have documented proof written about them. How many was bought and how many was sold and how many was traded. Are you following me? I hear the question keep coming up about who sold who in the slavery, but where's the documentation? That's what I want to see. I want to see the proof of these things. But anyway.
Do you have information on the study that you were talking about when it's a so-called interracial couple and the things that they communicate about?
Somewhere in this old computer sitting in front of me. I'm sure I can pull it up. It still has a memory. Yeah, I can pull it up. Yeah. You see, the beautiful thing about being in the position that I'm in, I don't have to do all the studying. There's groups of people that I'm tapped into that send me information. It's very, very well thought out and very well written because they pull it from all over the globe. And there's beautiful people that we probably won't even know their names that translate this into English, even if the discussion is happening in French. Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
So it's a beautiful thing that a lot of times, you see, and this is no disrespect to anyone that's listening, so please don't call and jump on me. The average American is dumb. Literally. We got 4 or 5 people dictating all of the news that we will ever see in America. So when you get different news sources and different information from different people around the globe, are you following me? It's just to contradict the things that you hear in America. So once you present these facts, they think you're crazy, like they think I'm crazy.
Mm-hmm. Would you say it's an accurate statement in the system of white supremacy? You said the average American is dumb. Would it be accurate to say the average black person is dumb?
I think the average black person is ignorant, and there is a difference.
Okay. What's the difference?
Between being dumb, stupid, and ignorant. Ignorant is just that you choose to ignore. Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
You know, this is not our language. We know that, but are we doing anything about it? No. Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
I've seen people, and I see them every day, step over trash right outside their doorstep. Are we people that kind of live in filth? That's a mentality that was kind of put on us. I don't care if it's stereotypical or otherwise. Nonetheless, we seem to have adopted that, and we kind of step over trash every day. We don't pick it up. Dr. Francis Cresswell in her book says we should become proficient and get a degree in broom, B-R-O-O-M, and clean up around you and stop living in filth. mentally, spiritually, and physically. Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
So a lot of us are just outright ignorant. And we choose to be dumb, stupid. Not that we are. I listen to some of these radio hosts.
Yes, sir.
In the morning time.
Yes, sir.
What do you call that, brother? Laughing and giggling all the goddamn time. When serious issues are going down in reference to our people, and the only thing you can do is offer up a joke? Stop that, man. Stop.
Wow.
That's like saying these same people that talk about black people sold black people into slavery, tell that to Jewish people. Say to a Jewish person, well, y'all gas your own selves in the oven and see how far you get.
Wow.
You know you encounter some problems. Am I right or wrong?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No reward.
Slap in the face. It's a slap in the face to Dr. Ben. We're Padmore, Dessalines the Ferocious, Toussaint L'Ouverture. It's a slap in the face of all those that came forth and taught the history. Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
Told those stories, and those stories are passed down through generation of what happened to our people. And the nerve of some of these people that say we sold our own, stop that, man, stop. On a small scale, I can see that happening. If we look at some of the black people today, just a few that sold me out. Are you following me?
Yes.
But you can't tell that to Walter Rodney. How Europe underdeveloped Africa, who told that story. I don't know, we can go on in naming authors and people that documented our history. Come on.
Context of white supremacy, Mr. Nero. You have a question? Your line is open, sir.
Oh, thank you very much. Greetings to you, sir. Pleasure having you on the show, Professor Griff. Enjoyed your first interview, and I've also listened to you on other shows as well. Let me ask you a question, sir, and I know it's going to seem a little off. Have you ever had an ant problem in a home where you live?
A what?
A problem with
ants.
Problem? A problem with ants. Have you ever had a problem with ants before?
Are you saying ants? A-N-T-S?
Yes, A-N-T, ants.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of commonplace.
Okay, yeah, exactly. And when you saw the first ant in your home, sir, what did you do when you saw the first ant enter into your home?
I left him alone because I just thought he was taking a stroll and ended up on the wrong street. And I'm like, well, okay.
And then
I didn't bother.
And then you didn't bother. Eventually, though, does it turn into? Do you see more ants eventually?
No. Next time I look up, man, it was about 50 ants. I'm like, hold on.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And I just shared that to say that that's how I view white people and so-called Jews in the system of racism and white supremacy. And so I feel that the best way to solve this problem would be to neutralize all the ants. As opposed to sifting through which ants may or may not be pernicious, harmful, or going to, do something you don't want. So I just want to share that with you and give you something to think about, because I know I heard earlier the comments in regards to Tim Wise as well as John Brown. And in my book, I don't see John Brown or Tim Wise as part of the solution.
Okay.
I just wanted to share that with you, sir.
I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Nero. 5716, last four digits, 5716. Did you have a question or are you just listening? 5716, did you have a question? You just listening?
Yeah, I'm just listening. I appreciate y'all talking.
No problem. Thank you, sir. 2557, did you have a question? Last four digits, 2557, did you have a question? Okay, so you're just listening. Last four digits, 5301, did you have a question? 5301?
I just had to ask Brother Griff, did you happen to come across the book by Nell Irvin Painter? She has a book out right now, recently released, called The History of White People. And if you've read it, I wanted to know what you thought about it.
Have you read that book, Professor Griff?
No. The History of White People?
Yes.
She's actually a professor from Princeton, black woman or non-white woman, and it's actually quite a fascinating read. And if you get an opportunity, I would definitely recommend that you get this book. I think it came out in April. I have the book, and whenever I'm reading it on the subway in New York, Anglo-Saxons break their neck as if I'm reading their holy grail, like they don't want you to read some secrets about them. And her scholarship in the book was impeccable.
Okay.
I'm sorry,
what's the author's name? What is the author's
Nell
name?
Irvin Painter. That's her name, Nell Irvin Painter. Okay, it's Nell, Nell, then Irving, Irvin, and last name Painter, Painter. And it's called The History of White People.
History of White People.
I actually have the book right here. Let me see who puts it out. It's on W.W. Norton. They put it out. So it goes through the 2,000-year history of those who are white identified, the Anglo-Saxons, how they came up with the term white within the last 2,000 years to distinguish themselves from other individuals. And she more specifically talks about how other classes of Anglo-Saxons or people of European descent got themselves included in the category of being white. For instance, like the Irish at one point weren't even considered white, and a few other of their ethnic groups. It's pretty interesting, though.
Okay, spell the last name once again for me.
Painter, Painter.
Oh, okay, I got it.
Got it?
I got it.
It's definitely something you want to add to your arsenal.
I definitely will. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Dr. Nell Irvin Painter was a guest on this program in June of this year. Very interesting. The book talks about pedophilia and some of the things we've hit on. Dr. Painter is also married to a white person, so I would advise everyone to keep that in mind reading the book. Person is called, I'm very open about that. I'm strongly opposed to sexual intercourse between white people and non-white people, and I think it's Flavor Flav every time. It's Flavor Flav every time. The person, 2595, did you have a question for Professor Griff?
Yes, I did. Good greetings, gentlemen. This is Pam from Trojan Horse.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, hi. Hi, Professor Griff.
Greetings. How are you?
Oh, okay, how are you? I did want to ask you to repeat your email because I had talked to you when you were on Dr. Nefertari's show.
Yes.
And I mentioned a book that I wanted to send you called Trojan Horse, Death of the Dark Nation. Huh?
Yes. I thought I was going to see you at that Nat Turner event she had, but my email address is Professor, Professor, Griff, Griff, then the letters P as in Paul, E as in Edward.
Okay.
At gmail.com.
At gmail.com. Okay. I'm going to send you an email, and then you can give me the directions on where you want me to send the book. I was listening. Okay. I was listening to, I've been listening maybe for the last hour and a half, and I'm going to get your book, and I really like to see what you're saying in there as far as the hip-hop and how it's being used as mind control, or whether they're under mind control, which is what I think he was saying. So I appreciate you coming out here and sharing this information, because the war is really, the war against black people, against the black minds is so intense. It's like it's coming from every direction. And, you know, our people are suffering greatly. And one question I have for you is, how do you maintain empathy for the people who are allowing themselves to be used, like these hip-hop artists, these entertainers, these quote-unquote sellouts, the people in the political realm, the people in the White House? How do you maintain empathy, even though you realize they're victims of white supremacy also?
But I think that's the thing. I think that once they realize that they're victims, then I think the process at that particular moment will begin. But no one's saying anything, sister. No one is saying anything. It almost seems like I'm the lone voice up in that realm, so to speak. Are you following me?
Yes, I am.
And it's like, in feeling that I'm the lone voice, I'm waiting to hear another artist, someone say something about something. And it is very, very difficult.
Yeah, the price is so high.
And the price is extremely high. Ask Alicia Keys when she made the comment overseas in Blender magazine in reference to them creating gangster rap as a ploy for black people to kill black people. Ask Pimp C, who died of an overdose of drugs in an L.A. hotel room after going and doing an article for Ozone magazine and calling out the homosexual practices inside of the rituals inside of hip-hop. Mm-hmm. Wow. Ask these people these things.
What happened to Alicia Keys?
We can't ask them.
I'm sorry.
Oh, they came after Alicia Keys
really?
When she made that comment. Mm-hmm. And they followed up with the fact that the government has this idea in mind of destroying black people. Mm-hmm. They tied that into her comment, and they came after Alicia Keys, literally shutting Alicia Keys down. Mm-hmm. And this was a year and a half, 2 years ago, less than that. Mm-hmm. She resurfaced, and they gave her the movie role, along with Queen Latifah in that movie, the movie that Queen Latifah was in with
The Hidden History of Bees.
Yeah, Precious.
Right.
No, so that
no,
means
not Precious.
Not Precious?
No, not Precious.
Oh, okay.
No.
Oh,
I think it's The Secret History of Bees.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay, that's right. Yeah, because I didn't see either one of those.
Yeah, she stopped wearing the AK-47 around her neck. Mm-hmm. You know, she was once politicized. She was once there, but shortly after that, she started playing the role. She ended up, being part of one of these power couples that we kind of see was manufactured in hip-hop once again. After Jermaine Dupri and Janet Jackson, after Jay-Z and Beyonce, now we got Alicia Keys and Swiss Beats.
What's interesting to me about her and Swiss Beats, not to get on them and not to change the subject, but that it's in a form, okay, he was married, whatever. He was married, and the media seems to almost kind of subliminally be promoting this whole immorality thing. Because I don't care what she does in her personal life, but I do care about the public image that they present to young people, that this is acceptable.
Well, my thing is, I think at the hearing, because I don't get into the gossip thing and into the whole said whatever, but at the hearing, Steve Harvey talked about Fantasia, him not agreeing with Fantasia when Fantasia said Alicia Keys get a pass. Alicia Keys takes someone's husband, marries him and have a baby, and has this storybook wedding, while here I am being duped by this dude I try to kill myself, but they talk about me because I'm dark-skinned.
Yeah.
I thought of Dr. Francis Cress Wilson when I heard that the other morning.
Mm-hmm.
And it almost seemed like what Fantasia said is true.
Oh, I totally agree with it.
They should keep the facts.
I'm sorry.
Pardon me?
No, I said, go ahead. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
She said they come down on me because I'm dark-skinned, broad nose, and thick lips. Mm-hmm. They don't give, the media doesn't give me a pass at all.
That's true.
And this is Fantasia.
Absolutely. You know, Alicia Keys
I
is
said racism, white supremacy.
Right, right.
Huh?
The elevation of the mulatto. I mean, when you look at it,
biracial and bisexual.
That's right. That's right. And that's a product of the white supremacy system because it means that being at least part white is better than being not white. So, you know, you don't expect, and I've noticed this for quite a while, dark-skinned women, African-looking women are always demonized. They're never shown as empathetic or sympathetic or characters that deserve any kind of empathy at all because once you do that, you uplift that dark-skinned woman, you uplift the dark race. And so if you're trying to dehumanize the whole race, you've got to dehumanize where the race comes from, and that's that black woman. So people, black people.
You just gotta.
Yeah, black people.
Well, you're absolutely correct.
Right. I did want to just mention something. You guys had talked about the, this comment that even Professor Gates, after he got arrested, I guess he tried to redeem himself by writing an article in the New York Times about the African sellers into slavery. Oh, no, he called Ending the Slavery Blame Game. That's what it was called, where he shifted a large part of the blame for African slavery to Africans. And, of course, he was once married to a white woman.
What was the name of the article?
Ending the Slavery Blame Game. I can send you the link if you want.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'll send you the link.
Could you please do that? I really appreciate that.
Oh, no problem. And basically, you know, I guess he was trying to get back. This is my opinion. He was trying to get back, and I guess they showed him that what he was, which was nothing but an end. And I guess maybe he's trying to re-ingratiate himself with his masters. But in any case, as far as slavery, as far as I know, based on the research the little research that I've done and the people I've talked to have done a lot of research, Africans never shipped one single African out of Africa. The only slavery that came out of Africa were tribal warfare, and Europeans did it. Everybody on the planet, when you conquered a group of people, you turned some of them into slaves. But the kind of slavery that the Europeans created had never, ever been created before on the history of the planet. So I just wanted to add that. So you can't even, it's like compare.
Thank you very much, sister.
Yeah, you're welcome. And thank you for standing in and staying strong in the fight. And I'll send you that link.
I'll give thanks.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Again, thank you, Pam, co-author of Trojan Horse, Death of a Dark Nation. The website, TrojanHorse1.com, and that's the number one, not spelled out, TrojanHorse1.com. I know when you, I heard you on a different program, and you gave out some, you call them white sources, because you know black people have a difficult time giving credibility to other black people. Do you have any white sources that we can check out? I heard InfoWars and one of the other ones. Do you have any helpful websites that we should be checking out?
Wow. Yeah, as a matter of fact, just some of the stuff that I was studying today, just to put a cap on this whole talk in reference to the Illuminati takeover of hip-hop, because I am wearing my brain out with that subject. Just the other day, a guy called me and he said that, you know something, Griff, as much as I sit and listen to you and I'm mad at you and I don't like you, I have to agree with some of the things that you have to say. He says, I'm a Christian, and when you talk about the white bloody cracker, Jesus, this, that, and the other, and whatever, I said, I ain't quite put it that way, but he says, okay, yeah, I'm not quoting you correctly, but I said, so what's your point? He's like, basically, what you're saying in reference to this war with white people, it's actually true. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he says, they stole from Africa and then demonized some of the symbology and the symbols, set it back to other white people and other black people in order to control not only history but the present, and they want to control the future. He said, I'm going to prove this to you. I'm like, wow, so I was quiet. He said, go on YouTube and go to the Aquarian Age of Evil, and you'll listen and hear the war and the battles taking place inside of that one documentary.
What is it again? The Aquarian?
The Aquarian Age of Evil.
Of Evil, okay.
And I get this all the time. Someone told me to go to Jordan Maxwell's website. They said, Griff, the same things that you are saying that you're pointing out from your point of reference, Jordan Maxwell says, but he's putting a twist on it. I said, let me go see Michael Tsarian. The sacred use of, the subversive use of sacred symbols in the media by Michael Tsarian. It's the subversive use of sacred symbols in the media by Michael Tsarian. Alex Jones, Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.com, David Icke, Fritz Springmeier. I got a whole slew of white sources because I get attacked by black people so much. Man, I ain't with all that black stuff, man. Yada, yada, yada. Whoopie, whoopie, whoop. And I'm like, okay, here's some good white sources for you. So now you have it in black and white.
Wow. Man, it is, I am incredibly grateful you were able to hang out with us. Can you let us know how we can get the DVDs, the Illuminati War on Hip Hop and all the other products that you've been doing?
Oh, yeah. Just people just need to call me directly. I do answer the phone, man, 678-557-2919, or they can just email me, just ask me what I have. I'll kind of send them a list, and they can kind of choose from there. Professor Griff, PE@gmail.com. I don't necessarily have a website right now, simply because the last 3 I put up got snatched down. So yeah, just contact me directly, and let's kind of go from there. Thank you very much for having me this long. I guess the people that's been trying to call me, I guess I got to call them back and apologize for me not being where I'm supposed to be. But this is vitally necessary for us as a people. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And we need healthy kind of conversations like this. And we do need to pick each other's brain and challenge one another in a loving kind of way. I don't mind being questioned. I don't mind being corrected. And if something I said in this particular conversation that needs to I need correcting on, then fine, call me. I turned 50 a couple of weeks ago. I'm good. You understand what I'm saying? I'm still doing one-arm push-ups. I'm fine. I don't mind being corrected. I truly don't mind. You understand what I'm saying? That's the only way we're going to be able to grow. We have to allow people's corrective criticism. I did an interview prior to you calling me. A few people got upset with me. I said, look, I mentioned it in my book about Barack Obama, and black women were cursing me out in the middle of the street.
Wow.
I walked through the airport yesterday, and I look on the newsstand, and lo and behold, Newsweek, September 6th, it's the last point I'm going to make, 2010, Newsweek magazine, a picture of Barack Obama on the cover, and it says, the making of a terrorist, coddling, warmongering, Wall Street-loving, socialist, godless Muslim president.
Dang. Wow.
Now, that's a mouthful. This is Newsweek. Don't tell me the media don't stand for multi-ethnic destruction in America or maniac European devils in action. And that's my last point, brother.
Context of white supremacy, I guess, God having a human experience called Griff.
All right.
Thoroughly enjoyed it, sir. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you so much for all the work that you have done. We appreciate it and need it, sir.
Oh, give thanks, good brother. I really appreciate you. Make sure I get a copy of this, all right?
Can I email it to you, Professor?
Please email it.
Okay. I'll do that today.
I really appreciate you, man.
Thank you. The pleasure was ours, sir. We enjoyed it. Thank you so much, man.
All right, take care.
We'll be in touch.
All right, peace.
Context of white supremacy. Gus T Renegade. Justice, not here, but justice.asap@yahoo.com. Again, justice.asap@yahoo.com. We got to put Tim Wise out of business, man. Very serious. We got to put Tim Wise out of business. I'm going to send him the show with Tim Wise as well. We got to put Tim Wise out of business. This is serious. The War on the Horizon gang, he's small hat. I don't know if people know that. Small hat. And he referenced Dr. Welsing's work as pseudoscientific bullshit. He has got to go, today, immediately. And she'll be here on Sunday, 6th visit from Dr. Frances Cress Welsing this Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Pacific. London, we have massive audience. London, that's 11 p.m. London time, 11 p.m. London time, Sunday, September 5th. But we'll be back tomorrow. Professor Griff, he referenced the Willie Lynch letters. Our guest tomorrow, live from London, Paul Ifeomi Grant. He has written several books, one of them, Why Willie Lynch Must Die. He'll be on the program tomorrow morning, live from the United Kingdom. It will be 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 10 o'clock Pacific, and 6 p.m. London time. Tomorrow, that's Friday, September 3rd. Should be great. The blackout, context of white supremacy. Everybody who invested, I think I have earned my keep during the blackout. I think we have delivered great programs for a while. And I mean, Dr. Welsing, Kush the Black Unifier next week, we should be rolling. So I hope I have earned my keep and will continue to do so. Let's see. I'm going to conserve my energy and not do the extra chatting. So I will. What was I going to announce? I had a couple announcements. Number one, the no sexual intercourse with white people. I want to be more assertive about that, and I hope, and I'm very pleased with the environment where people's credibility is damaged around their views on sexual intercourse between white people and non-white people. I love that. I love it that people who are engaging in sexual intercourse with white people or are uncomfortable being on this show. I love that environment. And I say that because I want this to be very serious, that under no circumstances is that cool, tolerated. That is not what non-white people should be doing under a system of white supremacy, and doing so really will make you uncomfortable around non-white people. I love that. I can't say it enough. I hope it continues. I hope it intensifies, that anybody engaging in sexual intercourse with a white person or has engaged in sexual intercourse with a white person is uncomfortable on the context of white supremacy. That's number one. Number two, I had to get a listener to tell me, I had been saying, because the phone line filled up again today too, people wanted to talk, they want to call in, want to ask questions and such. It's only $400 to increase the show to a premium program at Blog Talk Radio. The result of that would be increased promotion. The white people do more for the shows if you give them a little money. They promote it a little harder, and they allow 25 people to call in. It's $400 for 1 year. $400 for 1 year. I feel that's really easy. KPFA is listener supported, and they ball out of control. context of white supremacy, I think, we've got over 100,000 listens at this point. We're syndicated on 4 different stations. I think we've evolved nicely. I think $400, we should be listener supported. The broadcast should be listener supported, not just, for a computer or whatever, but to really expand and grow the show to replace white supremacy with justice as soon as possible. So $400 shouldn't be that big a deal to generate, to increase the number of callers. I think you get a lot of benefits. You can click, they have a link at Blog Talk Radio, and you can see all that you get for that. But it's $400 for a year. That means until this time next year, 25 people could call in and all the other benefits. I think it would be a great investment to help promote the show, help promote counter-racism, if you think this is constructive. And that's just, we just fundraised like $2,500. Like, I don't think that, and that's why we need to expand the show, because there are non-white people that have $400 easily. They wouldn't miss that. It wouldn't be a strain. There are non-white people who white people have allowed to have a few chips. If we expand the show, maybe we can get some of them to help invest in the program. So we should work on that project. I'm not putting any deadlines, or I'm not going to say deadlines, but I'm not putting any, threats to quit behind that. But I do think we should get it. I'm going to promote that regularly. Also, I'm also listener requesting 2 of Dr. Baruti's books. This is to do additional programs. I would like to get Menticide and Homosexuality and the Effeminization of the African Male. I would like both of those books. He's coming back next month. I would like to get both of those books so that I can do more programs with him. I already did a program on homosexuality and the effeminization of the African male. I would like to do a part 2. I didn't get the opportunity to read that book when we did the first program. I think I could do a much better broadcast if I had the book. That's something I pride myself on, being prepared for programs here at the C.O.W.S. So if I could get that book, I could deliver a great program, I think. Go back and listen to the first one. I think I could improve on that if I actually had the book and could read it. So if you could get me those 2 books, that's cheap. That's like not even $40. Super cheap. All you have to do, and I don't even want the money, all you have to do is send him the money. I'm helping multiple non-white people. Should be hordes of non-white people. Sending Dr. Baruti some funds. I get books. I will do programs based on both of those books, so this should benefit lots of non-white people. Super cheap. All I want you to do is send him the money and mail the books to me. Very easy. Very easy. Those are my 2 I have a third request, but this is no money. But I hope someone can knock that out, or 2 people or 3 people or whatever can knock that out. Just email me from my mailing address. That's all I want. Figure out how to get the books. Email me, Gus, what's your mailing address, and bang, get the books, and we'll do those programs. This is an easy one to help put Tim Wise out of business, or any of these other white anti-racists that have come on the program and demonstrated their lack of sincerity for replacing white supremacy with justice. If you search Tim Wise's name on Google, this program will pop up like on page 3. You can move that higher up the search results, so it'll pop up on page 1 and high on page 1 by just searching his name, finding this show, and clicking the link. Every time someone searches, something on Google, whatever links they click, it moves them up in the search results. So if you can invest maybe 5 minutes, search his name, go through until you find this show, and just click on it. Anything related to the C.O.W.S. and Tim Wise, just click on it in the search engine so it'll move it up, so it will be more likely that people will see the C.O.W.S. when they search Tim Wise. That would be a great counter-racist investment of your time and energy, I think. I think we would be doing much better if we could put Tim Wise out of business. I could be wrong, though. I could be wrong. And I got to make a correction, and then I'm going to relax and prepare for tomorrow's broadcast. When Umar Abdullah Johnson was here on Monday of this week, he said that Dwight Howard was engaged in sexual intercourse with a white person, and he was referencing this as not being a good thing. I shared, because a listener emailed me during the broadcast, and she said that he had a baby with a black female, which is true. I want to point it out. That is true. He does have an offspring with a black female. However, it seems they are not together anymore, and he is with a white woman. I saw pictures on the web, multiple pictures. At least according to the reports that I've seen, Dwight Howard is worthy of the cowbell, unfortunately. Yeah, real sad. I would double whammy if I had my button, but I don't have it anymore. But yeah, I did want to make that correction. So it seems Umar Abdullah Johnson was correct, and yeah. Oh well. Also, I was thinking, Professor Griff talked about Disneyland and Mickey Mouse and Britney Spears, the connection to Walt Disney. I was remembering Umar Abdullah Johnson saying Shaquille O'Neal had some sort of fascination with Britney Spears, and I had the image of Shaquille O'Neal with the Mickey Mouse ears on his head. I've seen that quite a bit. Yeah, might not be connected at all. At any rate, we'll be back tomorrow, Friday, September 3rd. Paul Ifeanyi Grant. Showtime is 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 10 a.m. Pacific, and 6 p.m. London time. Tomorrow, Paul Ifeanyi Grant should be fantastic. Context of white supremacy, the end of summer blackout. Hope it's been constructive. Justice's email, justice.asap@yahoo.com. Again, justice.asap@yahoo.com. Support Back of the Bus, nonwhitealliance.wordpress.com. Cree, counter-racist, evolving engineer, right here at Blog Talk Radio, and her blog, cree7.wordpress.com. Ebony News Channel, her blog, ebonynewschannel.blogspot.com. And White Watch has its own site. It's linked on the show page. I think the new site is whitewatch.info, but it's linked on the show page. They're back up and running, whitewatch.info. I know a lot of folks go there. Information on these wacky white people, racist white supremacists. We'll be back on Friday. Thank you so much for tuning in. Context of White Supremacy, signing out.